I'm just a rookie when I look at some of my other residents here, who I know very well. I used to be somebody in this town. Now I'm just a regular guy. No official capacity whatsoever, other than just somebody like you who's interested in and hope for the best for the future of our town. And this afternoon, we're going to hear from Mike Valle and his team about some of his hopes and dreams and thoughts of expanding and building up in East Avon. Mike is going through the official process, the approval process. Some of you have attended the planning board meetings and will continue to do that. But we thought this might be a good forum to allow for further questions into what the project's about, as well as ask him specific questions about his company, what he intends to do, that sometimes you don't always get a chance to do at a public hearing. So with that, we're going to have Mike talk about his team and what he's about. Joe is going to talk about the project. And then we'll have questions at the end. Plenty of time for questions. So with that, can everybody hear okay? We're not going to use the mics. Okay. Very good. Mike Valle.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you all for being here today and giving us this opportunity. My name is Mike Valle, founder and president of CM&M Industries, Inc., and I'm also the founder of our family business, MCM Natural Stone, where we're located at 860 Linden Avenue in Pittsburgh. This afternoon, I'm joined by our partner and associate, Terry Bromley, who is been in the real estate and development business for 40 years or so. Our associate, Jim Crusetti, who is helping us with business development. And our associate, who some of you may know, Joe O'Donnell, who is our architect and engineering consultant with this project as we go through the approval process. We're going to be talking today about our company's and the combined effort of our founded company, which is our family business, which is MCM Natural Stone, which my wife serves as president, and my sons, Chris and Michael, help us with the day-to-day operations and managing the business. MCM has been owned by our family and operating for over 30 years, and I have been in the stone business for almost most of my life, starting with my great-grandfather, who was a stonemason, came to the country in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and brought his family over a little bit at a time, settling in the Medina area and working in the Medina quarries. From that, starting a monument business, which turned into Rochester Monument Company, which many of you may know about because it's been around for over 75 years. That being said, I have the experience in this business to have been fortunate enough with my family to develop it over the last 30 years and turn it into a premier project company spanning thousands of projects. One relationship that we are most proud of is our relationship with the Wegmans food markets. We've traveled with the Wegmans markets for over 400 miles and delivered products made from natural stone here in Rochester to places like Fairfax, Virginia, Baltimore, Maryland area, Allentown, Pennsylvania, Toppin, New Jersey. Over 22 stores have been serviced by MCM Stone out of Rochester, New York. We just lost the power plant. Technical difficulties, bear with us. It's the slider. The payment can go. Well, I don't need that. That's all right. I mean, I can. Well, anyway, after 30 years of being in business, one of the things that we recognized was that we had a lot of stuff laying around that we needed to do something with. It was costing me a fortune, and when I say a fortune, I can tell you that up to 7,800 on average a month to take our waste material to the landfills. And my wife, about 12, 13 years or so ago, decided that we had to do something about this, suggested that we start taking this material and selling it as random flagstone type things where you could turn them upside down and put them as footpad stuff in your garden. She started selling them and there became a demand. Well, in my mind, that was all I needed to start thinking about, well, how can we make this part of the business? You may notice as you came in, there's a stanchion display with Bellaterra products and also photos of projects that we've made over the last 5 to 7 years. What she started developed into this cut and stamped process where we make pavers, veneer stone, and mosaics out of waste material. You might ask yourself, well, how much waste material could there be? Well, on every average kitchen in this country of 67 to 70 square feet per average kitchen, based on how much of an overhang you may have on your island sitting area, there's usually 27 to 30% stone left over that we need to match the material so that we can complete your average kitchen project. 30% is wasted material for that dedicated project, which needs to now be considered for a small vanity, a fireplace surround, cutting boards, coasters. We make anything out of what's left over because we as a business have to recover our investment. And we're still throwing stuff out. And we were throwing quite a bit out to the point where we averaged, for a long time, about 7,800 a month. We started looking into what was left over and what we might be able to do with it, and one of the things I came up with was to tumble the material. So the material from processing the waste became an aggregate, which you could see here, that accelerates that ability to hone the product and give it an antique look. So we're using more waste. It then can be milled down and or crushed up a little bit and become aggregate for landscaping. Or I started working with other waste materials that were left over from the process of fabricating natural stone, which basically the only product that's left at that point is a silt product from the recycling process of the water that it takes to cut the natural stone. That silt, when it's collected and dehydrated, looks pretty much like this, because that's what this is actually. Which is a cake form of the dehydrated silt that's created from recycling our water, from the process of cutting our stone, and this was still going to the landfill, which was with what was left over, this sort of aggregate size material. I started working with some ideas on how ancient concrete formulas were made and developed with natural material. So I started looking amongst the materials that we were still sending to the landfills and coming up with various parts of those materials as the components that we needed to make a cementatious material from our waste. After about 7 years of development, we were successfully tested on the 5th of December 2011 at Atlantic Testing Laboratories in Brighton. And they are a certified engineering firm that does this testing for the DOT, the DEC, and other various general contracting scenarios that require testing and certification of their concrete material. They tested our product, which was 100% recycled content with a 100% bio-origin binder, and on the 5th of December 2011, we got a positive break of 6,000 PSI. 6,000 PSI is fringing upon standard structural specifications for standard concrete, which is made with Portland cement. Significant to remember, it's made with Portland material. This has no Portland in it, and none of our products will ever have any Portland in it, and that's the basis of our research and development. The reason being, in creating any cementatious formula with Portland cement, you're utilizing material which is one of the leading causes of the deterioration of the ozone. And that is our mission, to reduce and recycle natural materials into new natural material components. And to do it without oil petroleum-based binders and or the use of Portland cement. Based on that, I'd like to turn the project over to Joe O'Donnell, who can begin the process of looking at our site plan, and then we can go back and review and have questions after that.
Thank you, Mike. As Mike said earlier, I am the project architect, been charged with developing and designing the redevelopment of the site. We already introduced some of our project team members, Terry Bromley. The other gentleman who isn't here today is our acoustical consultant, Frank, and I'm not going to try and pronounce that last name. But in any event, Frank is assisting us on evaluating and studying any of the noise levels that the project could or would potentially produce. Originally, there's the original site, as you're all familiar with, East Avon Plaza as it sits today. It's our objective to redevelop this site.
Hey, Joe.
Yep.
You gotta talk this way.
I'm sorry.
Or we got a microphone.
Yeah, I could use the microphone.
Right there.
Okay.
Why don't you use this one?
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry, saying that was a big operation.
Let me go over here so I don't block the
Yeah.
screen. Okay, in any event, as you know, the location of the proposed project is the East Avon Plaza, which is shown up here on the screen. This is how it sits today, and what we are proposing to do is redevelop the site into, it's a little light, but I can walk you through it. The objective is to have, it's in the business plan at the initial start of this project, to have about 10 to 13 trucks of material coming into the site. Now, the material that is coming into the site, I want to be very clear about, is already been processed in what's called transfer stations located up in Monroe County. The material goes into the transfer stations, is sorted, cleaned up, and is certified by the DEC or a DEC certified representative that's under the guidance of Mike's firm. That material is then loaded onto a truck in the size and quantities that you see like here and brought down to this location. The material is, again, as I mentioned, is already clean and environmentally certified. So the idea is that the trucks would come in off 5 and 20. You can see the arrows there. The trucks would come in off of 15 down here in the lower right corner. They would proceed to the back of the building, enter into a weighing station. Once they're weighed and their tickets are certified that they've been, the material there is not contaminated or doesn't contain anything environmentally clean, the trucks proceed to what you see over here in the lower left corner is a proposed building addition. That is a huge improvement to this project than what was initially proposed, which was to have the crushing machines on the outside of the building. Mike has agreed to move the entire operation indoors and expanding the building as needed. The design of the crushing machine is still in the engineering phase, but it would fit into that area right there. And the trucks would then unload the materials potentially inside the garage there and proceed back out on the west side of the site and go out on 5 and 20 and back to either the interstate or wherever they need to go. The other site improvements, as you'll see, is in the upper left corner. There's a finished product display area similar that you would see at a landscaper's location. And what that is that's going to display the products that are produced inside the building, so that when the public comes to look and purchase the materials, they can observe them outside in the natural light and in larger quantities than would be available inside. It is proposed that in the main entrance to the building, there's going to be an indoor showroom of the products so that you could go there, speak to a sales consultant, pick your stone, and basically see how it may look in an actual setting inside the building. The other big site improvement is the relocation of the daycare playground. We've been in discussions with Joyful Beginnings They're very interested in staying at the site. We think that this is a great amenity to have for the employees of CM&M, that they can have daycare opportunity to bring their children right there next door to where they're working and be able to take them home at the end of the day. The proposed new playground area is in the notch of the building as it exists today. It would be accessible by just a very, very short walk across the sidewalk from Joyful Beginnings. And then the existing island up in the site there would be redeveloped into a nice walkway of the stone material that is produced inside the building, possibly a gazebo, a flag, and a sitting area, again, displaying the material that's produced in the building. The other arrows that you see basically coming down the middle of the site is what the proposed bus route is. We are going to reestablish a bus stop here with a new shelter. We've been in discussions with the Rochester Genesee Region Transit Authority. They're very excited about being able to service this route, and they're very excited about the proposed shelter and the amount of people that are going to be able to utilize the service. So, this is a schematic drawing of the machine that Mike is developing now. It's called, yep. Okay, I was going to turn it over to you. Okay? Yeah, that Mike is we're engineering right now, and I'm going to let him kind of walk you through the whole process of where the material comes in and how it's processed.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm a big mouth. Right? Okay. This whole concept has been in the works for years. And it was not ready to introduce to our site plan as we were going for an approval, because I've been working on this technology and this concept, as I said, for years, and it wasn't quite ready. What wasn't quite ready is now under patent, and you can see stage 1, 2, and material delivery. Those 3 are very critical, and that is what is my patented process, Agromat, which is also a trademark. And what that is material comes in through the raw material inlet, is dumped into a bath, a water bath, which is also a part of a bed assembly, which is vibrating and sending whatever materials that are residual materials that are less than what we want in the pressure process into a filtration system, and then going into the water recycling system, which is all part of, as you can see above it, water recovery, the first section of silos. And what that heap represents is the dehydration assembly, which heaps it into this moist material, which is then dried, and it can be put into a cake form, or it could be just simply dumped from that cake form into a bin, which is then fed into a hopper by propane type delivery carts. The water process that begins at the inlet forces the material into a suction operated vacuum pump type housing, which brings the material into a barrel crusher. The same barrel crusher that we were going to use outside is now submerged in water, encased in concrete, is totally enclosed, and is taking and doing the same function that it was doing outside, now as I say inside, and running it through the next section, which is part of stage 2, which is the material separator, giving us the material that we need for delivery to make whatever it is that we're making at the time. It could be a paving stone, it could be veneer stone, which we will be offering to the market in 2015. The same kind of veneer stone as you see, trade names, Colorado stone, cultured stone. We're going to be offering a 100% recycled material to the 2015 market. Not exactly when we want to, but it'll be late 2015. All the way to our engineered stone, which is the hopefully replacement for engineered stone that's available now on the market under the trademarks of Caesar stone, Sile stone, Cambria, Zodiac, and so on.